now more than ever, I think it's time for dentists to really answer the question, okay, when you're not fixing teeth, what is your role? And that role is leadership.
Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to Go Live. I'm your host, Joshua Scott. Guys, this is episode 16, and I've got a very special guest with me today. Dr. Paul Homoly is here. Paul, say hi to everybody.
Hey everybody, glad you could make it. Hope you're enjoying your shelter in place online. Pour a glass of wine, we're going to have some fun.
Yeah. I know. I was thinking about that. It's a little early. Well, it's early for you. It's earlier for you. Maybe for wine. Are you drinking wine at noon in Phoenix?
No, I'm not. This is tea. This is herbal tea. So
nice. Nice. Cool. Well, hey, man, I'm super thankful, appreciative of you taking the time. I know everybody's really busy right now, but over the last couple of weeks, as all this was going down, I mean, you were one of the people I definitely wanted to get on the show just from your leadership perspective, through this time. I think it's been super valuable. I've been watching some of your videos. But before we jump into that, how are things out in Phoenix, shelter in place? I mean, I'm imagining you don't have a lot of speaking scheduled right now.
No, the live conferences have all been canceled, and I shouldn't say canceled. They've all been rescheduled. So I'm doing quite a bit of online work right now. As far as Scottsdale and the Phoenix area, we're okay here. We're not like New York or New Jersey or Italy. Yeah. The golf course is still open. That's key. So I go out there a couple times a week. And we're, and to tell you the truth, I've worked out of my home office. I mean, sheltering in place, it doesn't really feel that different. What does feel different is that when I go into the community, the empty streets and the empty stores and that kind of thing. So I think it's tough I know it's really tough for dentists. When dentists aren't busy, it's corrosive to their mindsets because dentists are so, and the same thing with team members. I don't want to exclude them. When people who are accustomed to being busy is a sign of success. When a dentist is busy, they feel like they're producing, they're doing something. And, the big piece of this for me has been, okay, so now that dentists aren't busy fixing teeth, I mean, are they still dentists? I mean, what's the role of a dentist if they're not fixing teeth? Yeah. And the point I want to make here is that their role is leader. The role has always been as leader, but all the effort they put into producing camouflages the role of leader. Oftentimes, dentists will delegate leadership responsibilities to a senior team member, and it feels good to them. It feels good to them because the problems with team members or issues relative to facility or equipment, that they got competent senior team members, they can handle that. So the dentist is really happy when they're in the mouth and they got a drill in their hand and they're ready to go. And I understand, I was the same way. But if you take the practice, if you take fixing teeth away, what's there to dentists? What's left for them to do? You see, I had the same issue, Josh. You and I have talked about this close to 25 years ago. I was in practice 20 years. And one day I woke up and my right eye was crossed. I lost the ability to practice depth perception, right? I could do dentures or maybe ortho, but I was in the implant restorative dentistry. You got to have good depth perception in order to do that. And so I really lost. So I sold the practice, sold the equipment, sold everything. And then I had to really come to grips as to, okay, what's my new role? And it was during this downtime, right, where I really discovered that doing dentistry is what I did. It wasn't who I was. And it took me a while, and it took me some good friends. It took some good friends. I called my buddies and say, hey, I'm not fixing teeth anymore. What is it about me that I can sell? Because I need to eat, because my eye issue was a pre-existing condition, Josh. I didn't have disability insurance. And through it all, more and more people told me, they said, well, Homoly, what you did really well is that you connected people. You connected with patients. You made it, you made it possible for patients to believe that good dental health was possible for them. Because see, Josh, I focused on partially and totally edentulous patients, the dental cripples. And a lot of these folks, well, doc, my dad had dentures, my uncle had dentures, both my brothers got, hell, even my dog's got dentures. And I guess and a big part of what I did was get people to believe that good dental health is possible. I was real proud of the fact that I kept my team in place. Oh, I had team members come and go because they get married or get pregnant or move out. But my core team, really, we stayed in one piece and gave them the sense that, they were working in the right place. And then when I left practice, I took those, I took what I did maybe naturally, Josh, and turned it into 5 books and online programs and workshops and all that. So for me now, what it's about is, how do you lead? In the treatment acceptance process is a leadership conversation.
Yeah,
I just have really never emphasized that, but now that we've got this issue going on with the crisis, now more than ever, I think it's time for dentists to really answer the question, okay, when you're not fixing teeth, what is your role? And that role is leadership. And I think that would be a good theme for us to talk about today.
Yeah, and I love this and love that you're on, just because I know that you've personally been through this. That whole, I mean, you said it well. It's like when you're not doing something, there's like what you do, but then there's also who you are. And it tends to be when you take away the what you do, people struggle with the who they are. And is that fair to say? And why do you think that is? Do you think it's just insecurity? Do you think we've never developed the who we are? Like, why do you think that happens?
Well, I think it's a habit. I think it's simple as that. I think it's a habit. You get in your car, you drive to the office. I did this for 20 years. You get in the car, you drive to the office, you walk in. As soon as you walk in the office, you become that new version of yourself, right? The new version. You go downstairs, you put on the scrubs, you get your head around, you look at your computer, you go upstairs, you have a team meeting, and then the bell rings and first patient's in operatory number 1, and then you just go on automatic. And after, doing that for a couple of years, it feels normal. Yeah. It feels like you feel like you're the 4 years in dental school and the postgraduate programs and the hundreds of thousands of dollars you've invested in your career and facility and equipment, all of it is now paying off. And it feels right. And so now you take that away. Poof. You take that away. Now what? Well, you're kind of back to square one in the sense, well, this coronavirus has created that. It's like when I practiced in Charlotte, we were hit by Hurricane Hugo. That was in 1989, 140 mile an hour winds. Josh, it was carnage. Blew shingles off the roof. All my lawn furniture was in my neighbor's pool. It was one of these things. And what's interesting about hurricanes, depending where you're at, the hurricane, there's the front end of the hurricane that you go through, but then you get into the eye. The eye is really unusual. Have you ever been in a hurricane, Josh? You know what I'm talking about?
When you're in the eye, one, but not much, yeah.
Well, when you're in the eye, it's like no wind, sunny day. Like, what happened? And it's like the storm is paused. And what's really key is how you use the pause time. Veterans of hurricanes, right, which I am, been through 2 or 3 of them. During that pause time, you scramble around the yard and whatever has blown away, you drag it to your garage, right? So there's this pause time. Well, I think this coronavirus is like a hurricane in the sense that we've been through the front part of the storm and now we're in the eye. We're waiting, right? We're in that pause time. We're waiting for the curve, right? The curve to flatten. We're waiting for the sirens to sound all clear. And this pause time, I tell you, for a lot of us feels like hard time.
Yeah.
It's tough, isn't it? What do we do? And so what I'm doing right, trying to bring a new mindset is saying, consider this pause time. Maybe we can consider it a turning point in your career. Maybe you can look at it as what personal development can you go through that will make you stronger when you exit this crisis than when you entered it.
Yeah.
See, that's something to think about right there.
Yeah. What do you say to the dentist because that doesn't view themselves as a leader or says, I didn't get into this to be a leader. I'm just a clinician.
I'd say, time to step up, buddy. It's time to step up. Come on. Just turn on television and watch the evening news. What do you see? You see these public healthcare workers. And what are they doing? They're in the full goggles and the oxygen masks. And what are they doing? They're walking into the line of fire. They're standing outside, swabbing noses and throats. Emergency room doctors are stepping over bodies. They didn't sign up for that. But we're healthcare providers. You see, when we became dentists, we became healthcare providers, Josh.
Yeah.
And okay, so we have a specialty of fixing teeth, but now's not the time to sit on a damn high horse. I know you didn't sign up for this, but you see, we forget the responsibilities that come with privilege. As dentists, just think a couple months ago, everybody's doing good, right? Everybody's making money, right? And there's a privilege to being a dentist. The money's great. We're the boss. We don't have to answer to a lot of people. We really can craft our own lifestyle in many ways, and life is good. We forget there's responsibilities associated with those privileges, and now it's staring us right in the face. What's your responsibility as a healthcare provider? Number one, provide emergency care, right? Provide emergency care. And I understand right now, I read a study from the ADA that 79% of dental offices are providing emergency care. Good for you. Number two is you need to continuously lead your team. Your team needs to see your confidence. Team members are scared. Team members don't know what's going on. So team members need to see your confidence.
Yeah.
And use this pause time intelligently. Hey, here's the deal. For me and for every dentist I know, at some point, they considered dentistry a pain in the ass. a pain in the ass, right? You got fussy patients, moody team members, greedy insurance companies, and we put up with it, Josh, because the money is so good and we're too busy to change things. We're too busy producing. We don't have time to lead. But we do now.
Yeah.
You see, we do now. We've got the pause. And the point that I'd like to make now, and the point that I'm putting out there in the videos, and I've sent you a few, is it's key how you use this pause time. How many dentists have time on their hands where they can really work on their personal skills? Here's the answer. Nobody does.
Yeah.
When you're done grinding teeth for 6 or 7 hours, the last thing you want to do is go home and work on personal skills. You want to sit back and watch the ball game or go golfing or have a glass of wine or chase your wife around or your spouse around. You want to do anything but think about work, because dentistry, when you leave the practice, you just want to purge all that stuff out of your head. There's a huge amount of physical exertion and mental and emotional output. Dentists who are practicing complete care dentistry, it's not easy, Josh.
Yeah.
You bust your ass. It's not healthy. And, there are good rewards, but the last thing you want to do is go home and continue to work. But now we've got the time. And as a matter of fact, we need to get busy, don't we? We were talking about that earlier, right? When dentists aren't busy, it's corrosive.
Yeah.
Now, here's what you can do to get busy. Start improving, for example, your relationship with patients. What can you do? What can you do with patients that would make it easier for them to say yes? Because when we exit from this interview, Josh, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. You think patients had financial issues before this?
Yeah.
You've seen nothing yet.
Yeah.
You've absolutely seen nothing yet.
Yeah. I remember with, I wanted to bring this quote up to you, but I remember through 9/11, then Mayor of New York City, Rudy Giuliani, made the statement. I don't know if I heard him or if it was in his book that he released later called Leadership, but he basically said like leaders aren't made during a crisis like that. It just, they stand up. Like it just reveals the leadership that's there. And I think what was interesting is the first couple of weeks of this, just watching the practices that sprung into action versus the practices that shut down. And,
right.
you know, and seeing on social media everywhere, all these practices going, we're closed. And some of them would say, except for emergencies. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I'm not sure that's the right message. I think it's, we're open for emergencies would probably be a better take. But how much, you know, how much of that is, because you've seen, you know, dentistry as a profession go through the 2008 recession, .com, you know, bust, hurricane, 80s recession. Like, how much of that is true? Like, do you see leaders just naturally step up, and how much of it is maybe a cue to go, hey, like, kick them in the butt and let's go?
Yeah. Well, you know, the ones that are stepping up, they've been leaders all along. Right? They've been leaders all along. They've seen leadership. You see, there's, I would guess, I don't know this, Josh, but I would guess that maybe a lot of dentists think they're leaders because people around them do what they say to do, right? You know, fix this and it gets fixed. Do this and they do that. But that's being a boss. That's not being a leader.
Yeah.
What leaders do is they make it easy for people around them to be their best. That to me is what defines a leader. How do you create environments where it's easy for people to succeed and at the same time help them feel better about who they are? See, that's the foundation of all my work. Josh, you're familiar with my online programs. You're familiar with my speaking programs. I pride myself on trying to bring the best out in people. And that's if there was a rule number one to the filter that I look at, what I put out in the universe is, will it help people be better? Will it help them discover that unique ability they have? How do I make it easy for people to succeed? Now, how can a dentist do that in this time? Well, a couple ways. He can subscribe to Zoom, like we're on. What does this cost? $50 a month or something like that, Josh?
Yeah.
It's not expensive.
No.
You know, have Zoom meetings. You know, I work with these DSO groups, and the smart leaders in the DSO groups, they're having Zoom meetings once a morning. I work with a group in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Excuse me. Every morning, 7:30, they have a Zoom meeting. They never did this before, and I did a Zoom coaching with their entire organization. And one of the women dentists said, well, when the coronavirus is over, I'm going to miss these 7:30 Zoom meetings, because she felt the sense of connection.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
what's at stake here for even the teams, right? Like a dentist who steps up and leads well through this time, and then maybe a dentist that doesn't. What's at stake just from their team standpoint?
Well, you know, the dentists that lead well, the dentists that stay connected with teams, the dentists that, you know, compensate as well as they can, dentists that do the right business decisions as far as these payroll loans or whatever, the dentists that can keep their teams safe, the dentists that stay connected to their teams, that level of leadership will pay dividends when this crisis is over. And the dividend will be greater team loyalty and greater spirit, greater commitment to the practice. Dentists that lead poorly during this crisis, when the crisis is over, the dispiriting experience will linger like a hangover with team members. They'll remember. I've worked with some groups. I don't work with them anymore. That as soon as the virus said, bam, everybody was fired. Everybody is fired. Now, what is that going to be like when it's time to rehire?
Yeah.
You know, it's that kind of thing. So lead well now. And I provide leadership tools for that. And the purpose of this program is not to sell anything. You can go to my website. You don't need to buy anything. Just look at the videos on leadership. It's called Essays on Leadership. Yeah. Just go there and look at this stuff. Share them with your team. And if you do decide to get into a more robust program, I provide that stuff too. But the reason I'm putting those videos out now is to give people a sense of what we're talking about right here. It's time to step up.
Yeah.
Time to step up.
Yeah, I love you sent me a few of those videos, and I love them for sure. And I've always seen you not. I mean, I know you can probably get looked at, like you're the case acceptance guy, and you're this and that, and you're a communicator. But I've always felt like your leadership has always been equally, strong and valuable as those. When we're talking about case acceptance, and you said this a little bit ago, but I literally had it written here in my notes. I would imagine case acceptance being an even more important skill set moving forward. So what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, yes. If there was ever a time that having a process that gives patients the sense they'll be well cared for is now. There's never been a good time, because health concerns, that's the number one concern. What do you news? It's all about health. It's all about health. And when people come back to the dental offices, this whole mindset about health. I mean, look what you're talking about in the news. You're talking about building your immune responses. Well, what is periodontal treatment all about? Yeah. What is that about? Reduction of inflammation. Hello. They talk about the people that are most prone to serious COVID-19 infections. They're discovering that the biggest pre-existing condition, you know what it is? Obesity. Well, how does dentistry relate to that? I can tell you, people are eating the wrong stuff. So nutritional counseling, nutritional service line extensions, I see that as being something that maybe there's some momentum that's created. What facility do people go to right now to get nutritional counseling or nutritional help? They're physicians? No.
Right.
Chiropractors? Maybe, but they're too supplement oriented. Take this vitamin, take this pill, that kind of thing. I'm not saying they're all like that, but I'm saying a lot of them are. But what are teeth for? Hello. Teeth are designed to help people chew their food so they get proper nutrition. So I would say now more than ever, and the biggie is going to be how the dentistry needs to fit into patients' lives. Following the hurricane Hugo in Charlotte, a month, 2 months later, Charlotte was flush with cash. Here's why. Because people that had their garages blown apart, they get the insurance company's check. So people had money. They didn't lose their jobs, right? Now, people have lost their jobs. You think financial arrangements are going to be tough? They're going to be much tougher. Would it make sense for dentists who don't have a lender relationship, like a lending tree relationship, right? It'd make perfect sense. But to have a process, and this is what my processes are all about. How do you present care to people so you don't overwhelm them or lose them from sticker shock? That's the basis of my work. And it could not be more important than right. The time to learn that is now. So when we all go back to work, when we hear the sirens blow all clear, when we go back to work, Josh, we want to be able to pick right up without having to go through a false start.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think this time it's a tremendous opportunity for dentistry to be a little bit more inclusive and open up their arms to embrace some of these other categories like immune system, defense. Right. Obviously, infectious disease control protocol is going to be a big deal. But we've been talking about this for the last decade in dentistry about oral systemic connection and overall, health and wellness. And some practices have embraced it, some haven't. But now it's like, you're probably not going to have a choice. We're going to have to start talking about some of this stuff.
Yeah, good systemic health was not profitable, right? There's no money in it. It's like airway, right? A lot of dentists scrambled the airway. Well, I might be wrong here, but I know a lot of dentists who have really studied airway and are really smart about it, but they can't monetize it. Mm-hmm. How do you charge for that, right? And so there's this lip service to it. And I'm not saying that airway is not important. It's extremely important. But airway, nutrition, sterile technique, oral systemic link, my God, it's been around forever. Now, it may take on additional significance. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. I know, I think I saw something you've been talking about recently about how to take an emergency patient and turn that into a complete care patient later. Because obviously emergencies are spiking right now. How do you see that happening? How should dentists be looking at those emergency patients?
Yeah, well, prior to COVID-19, emergency patients were an interruption. The last thing a dentist wants is when you're grinding away and you're fixing and doing some nice dentistry, is for your office manager to come back and say, "Oh, we got an emergency in room number 3," and you're thinking, "Oh God."
That's so great. I'm not trying to interrupt you, but like that's why when it was like you can only be open for emergencies, I think so many people were like, "Great, we're closed then."
We're closed. Yeah, because all the emergencies, especially in some urban areas, many of the emergencies are dopers or cokeheads.
Oh my gosh.
Or some unbelievable thing, right?
Yeah.
And emergencies, and it's really easy to blame emergencies for their poor follow-up. Being an emergency, that's called normal but unacceptable behavior, right? That's what emergencies are, right?
Yeah.
But you see now you're going to have legitimate people who've got legitimate dental problems, and they're not dopers, and they're not looking for a prescription for Demerol or some darn thing, right? They're going to come in. We recognize the value of emergencies early in my practice, Josh, because I was dealing with the higher end dental cripple, the partially and totally edentulous patient who's been hanging on to partial dentures and their teeth would snap off from the partial. And emergencies are more frequent the older patients get.
Yeah.
Okay. And my patient base typically was 50 years old and older. And we noticed right away that we're going to have more emergencies typically. And so instead of crying about it, what we did is we changed our attitude. Now, don't get me wrong. The dopers we would kick out, okay? They're not hard to spot. But the legitimate people with legitimate emergencies, we really went through kind of a 5-step process of recruiting this person to return to our office to be a complete care patient. And it worked wonderfully. I'll take you through the steps. Do you want me to go through the steps right now, Josh?
Yeah, sure. That'd be great.
Okay. So you have an emergency. Let's say her name is Christine. She comes in. She's got an emergency. You fix her teeth, and she's happy. You do something. You make her happy. Step number 1 is get her to acknowledge the ease of the appointment. Christine, how was that? I hope that wasn't too bad for you today. Oh, no, Dr. Homoly, that was wonderful. Or whatever. Okay. Step number 2, then ask her, is she aware that she's got other conditions in her mouth? Because you're working on an emergency, you're looking around the mouth too, aren't you?
Yeah.
Right? So what you do is you ask her, is she aware that she has other conditions that might give her a problem? That would sound like, Christine, while I was working on you, I noticed that you've got a few things that might crop up to be emergencies in the future. Were you aware of that? Right? So you ask. You don't tell them. You ask if they're aware of it. And then just let her talk. Don't go into a long patient education conversation here. Just get her to acknowledge it at some level. Step number 3 is assure her that treatment of those other conditions will be no more difficult than today's appointment. That would sound like, well, Christine, patients of mine who've got conditions similar to this typically find that treatment is no more difficult than you've been through today. Okay. Step 4 is then you ask, Christine, let me recommend that when we're open for business as usual, that you return to this office for a complete exam so we can help prevent you going through any more emergencies. Step 5, and this is the kicker. Don't miss this one. Step 5 is you make it personal. You make it personal. I'll show you how to do that, but I'm going to take you through step 4, then I'm going to go right to step 5. Step 4 is the request to return for a complete exam. Christine, let me suggest that when this crisis is over and we're open for business as normal, return to our office for a complete exam so we can prevent any emergencies like this from occurring in the future. Christine, would you do that for me?
Yeah.
Would you do that for me? That's the make it personal piece. You see, Josh, dental care for patients is personal. They want it to be personal to you too.
Yeah.
And this is more true as the patient ages, as the age range of the patient increases, the more they want healthcare to be personal. Younger patients, right? younger patients in their 20s and 30s, healthcare is, maybe not on their top of their list. I mean, I look at you, Josh, you're young, you're healthy, you're in shape, you're CrossFit, you probably don't think about dying every day, but I guarantee you, when you hit 60, 70, 80 years old, you know that there's more of your life in the rear view mirror than there is through looking through the windshield. And
Yeah.
older patients want assurance that their health is important and personal to you too.
Yeah.
And so that 5-step process is a way that you can create that bond. When you help someone, and they have a sense of gratitude, then you, I think, begin to experience maybe some of the best that dentistry has to offer. I was listening to an interview. They were interviewing an emergency room doctor in one of the hospitals in New York or New Jersey, and this guy is whipped. I mean, it's the end of the day, and he's leaning up against the counter, and you can see the creases on his face from the face mask, and he's just gassed. And they asked him, what is it like? He says, well, you know what? It reminded me of why I became a doctor. He said, helping these people, we can't help them all, but the ones we do, it makes a big difference. Well, when you get into the mindset that our primary role is a caregiver, and we render that care and we experience the gratitude, that's a form of prosperity that not everybody gets to experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's nothing you can put a dollar sign on, but that's what legacy and that's what purpose is all about. That's what leadership is all about right there, is putting people in environments to where you make it easier for them to be successful or to be healthy or to be healed. And in so doing, you get a spiritual return on that in the form of gratitude. That becomes a form of prosperity that creates that in me. What it does, it makes me anxious to get up in the morning and turn my computer on and help the world. That inspires me. I was just talking to my wife before we did this. I was in there, I was getting a cup of tea. I said, hey, I'm talking to my buddy Josh. You remember? Oh yeah, all those great photos. That the whole content session that we did with Josh, with you and your team, is absolutely fantastic. I said, it's Josh and Joanna. She said, that's great. I said, yeah, they're terrific people. I said, I can hardly wait to do this because I know that your following are good people. And it gives me an opportunity through you to, be who I am. Yeah.
Oh gosh, I love that. Those verbal skills right there, man. Just walking away with those from this is going to be huge. I know we've got some viewers on. Mark Fixari left a comment, and he's a group practice owner here in the Columbus area. But he says, thanks for this. Both you guys are awesome. You get it. Rule number 1, always be the best clinician you can be. Rule number 2, realize your success has little to do with rule number 1. So.
That's really good. That's really good. My work with the group practices has been tremendously satisfying. It's been tough now because of, for lots of reasons. When you own, a bunch of practices, you might have relationships with venture capitalists and you're highly leveraged and you don't have 5 employees, you got 500. So that's a different thing. And to tell you the truth, for several of the groups I work with, they're all enrolled in my online programs, and they called me and they said, we're going to have to kind of put a pause on this. I said, don't. I said, I understand that you've got to trim expenses. Just stay on the online program. And so I took them to a deferred payment. I said, don't pay me anything. It doesn't cost me anything for them to keep online.
Yeah.
But what I'm doing is I'm going to help them recover. So when they do recover, they're going to pay me back, right? They're going to pay me back. But you see, that's what I'm doing to help to do my part with the dental service organization. So if you're involved in a dental service organization, hang in there.
Yeah. Those have I've definitely seen them have a different set of challenges for sure facing this.
Very different, very different.
Yeah. What let me ask you this, just because I know it's kind of been a hot topic, but this conversation of like virtual consults or teledentistry and just its role in case acceptance, like what do you see there? I mean, and some people, whether they're the same or whether they have some slight differences, I think people are just using different words for it. But what do you see that playing out?
Well, are you talking about where patients will do something like this with their dentist?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Now, I don't know how scalable that could be, but I do think that, the rule number one, I like that rule number one, rule number two. That was good. Yeah. There's three filters that I use to evaluate a service or an entity. Number one, is it good for the patient? Number two, is it good for the practice? And number three, is it good for the profession? So let's apply that to virtual counseling. Number one, is it good for the patient? I'd say yes.
Yeah.
Because what it does, it initiates relationship. Number two, is it good for the practice? Sure. Because I think that a dentist that's got the savvy to do something like this, I think the patients will think, well, he probably got the savvy to do other things too.
Yeah.
And number three, is it good for the profession? Absolutely yes. Now, the backside is you can't be a horse's ass on this deal. Because if you're going to go into something like this, don't have the camera shooting up your nose. I see a lot of that, and don't have crap sound. Have a nice, look where you're sitting. You're sitting in a nice, well-lit area. I am too, right?
Yeah.
So be classy about it.
Yeah.
I don't, and what else I would say is don't sell. Don't sell doing this. Just build relationship. Just talk to them and listen to them. It's more about listening than it is anything else, I would say.
Yeah. I think what's interesting is because for me, I think it's a tremendous opportunity, and I look at it exactly like that. It's a chance to open a relationship, not close a sale. And yet, but if you're impatient and just want to get somebody chair side and start production, and you get irritated when people don't accept, right away, and you got to, then that's going to be a struggle. But if your practice is built on establishing relationships, and your concept of stacking them up, you just stack up these relationships, and at some point they're going to convert and come back to you. So, yeah.
And to tell you the truth, if dentists attempt to close the sale on this, dentists are poor salespeople. I'll tell you that right now. We're not good at sales.
Yeah.
We've never been trained in it. And we've had consultants that come into dentistry and they talk about how to overcome objections and the 3 rules of closing the sale. Don't listen to any of that. That's just all smoke and mirrors is what it is.
Yeah.
With the practice of that, we're not in the patio furniture business. We're not selling retail. What we're doing is we're talking about healthcare that's personal and it's private. And if you want to try to commoditize that, then get the hell out of dentistry. Do something else.
Yeah, well said. Well said. A couple questions here just before I let you go. I mean, I know you've been through this COVID. You've seen dentistry go through the financial crisis of 2008, the .com boom. Any similarities through these times that you've patterns or things that you've seen in the profession? And then also, how is this one different?
Well, this one is different because number one, it's worldwide and the outcome is really unknown. Hurricanes are going to pass. The housing crisis, that's going to pass. 9/11, okay, all right. But there was a relatively short duration. This duration is going to be longer, and that's it. What's going to happen is we're going from acute to chronic. And once we're into chronic, I think that's when we're going to see some real mental health issues going on. People are going to get burned out. And that's the big difference. And how can you defend against that? Well, it goes back to the first thing that we were talking about right there. Time to step up. It's time to look in the mirror and say, why have I become a healthcare provider? I'm here to serve. And there isn't going to be a price tag. There isn't going to be a dollar sign to everything you're going to do to help people out. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. I can't end the crisis. I didn't start the crisis. But what I can honestly, really completely say is that give people whether it's team members or patients, give them the experience that they're not alone. Give them the experience that they're not alone in the crisis, and give them confidence in the support they're getting from experts. And you're one of the experts you're getting advice from. One thing that I find interesting is that, a few years ago, I remember there was a lot of chatter about, especially from new dentists and some established dentists. Well, I'm not a member of the ADA. The ADA doesn't do anything for me. The ADA, only thing worthy about the ADA is the health insurance or the life insurance. In the ADA, we've seen a bunch of politicians in Chicago that don't do anything. Well, look what the ADA is doing now.
Yeah.
I get this ADA newsletter, and they did a hell of a job on loan applications and human resources stuff. They've really stepped up in terms of supporting dentists. And I would say to anybody listening to this broadcast that doesn't think the ADA is worth a shit, you're wrong. Just look at what they're doing now. These people, and that's what I was saying. Have faith in experts who are supporting us. So your bankers, your financial planners, the ADA, you see, that's how we get through this stuff. Number one, don't isolate. And what I mean by isolate is communicate and connect like this. Josh, I was excited to do this. I was telling you earlier, I said, Lisa, it's going to be Josh, and it's going to be terrific.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with patients. Don't let patients feel they're alone in their dental crisis. The severely compromised dental patient at some level is experiencing what we're experiencing right now. What are we experiencing? Fear, uncertainty, financial collapse. Well, that's what patients with severe dental disease feel. It's no different. So how do we ease our crisis? Well, when this crisis first hit, I thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get educated on it. So I studied the virulence and pathogenicity and modes of transmission. It took me about a week to kind of study it. When I get all done, did it make me feel better? Did it put the spring back in my step? Not a lot, to tell you the truth. Well, how about the dental crippled patient? Are they threatened financially? Do they have is there a certain outcome for them? No. And so what will ease patients' crisis is the same thing that will ease our crisis. And that's the feeling that we're not alone, and rely on the help of experts.
Yeah.
That's so key. So if you thumb your nose at the ADA, take another look. Okay. I hope some of those people are looking right now at this.
Yeah. I love that. Last question I'll throw at you. What are you doing for your mindset through this? I know you're on the road a lot. I mean, you travel around a lot, and I'm sure some of this at first maybe was a nice break, but does that start to get to you a little bit? And what are you doing to stay strong that way?
It's a great break. If I don't get on another airplane, Josh, I've been doing this for 35 years. It was 10 years into my practice. I was a thought leader with implant dentistry, and getting on airplanes and flying around the country was a lot of fun. And for the last 24 years, I've been doing this. I've done enough in terms of showing up at meetings. In the future, will I show up at meetings? Sure, I will. Invite me, I'll show up. It's that simple.
Yeah.
But now I look at, okay, you see, I'm taking the same medicine I'm telling you and telling the viewers. I'm looking at myself and say, what skill sets can I develop? What can I do to continuously improve? Because what is the choice? I'm not ready for lawn darts, right? I'm not ready to ride in a golf cart 6 days a week. I'm sorry. Yeah. I like golf, but I don't like it that much. So what choice do we have if it isn't to continuously improve? So here's what I'm doing. I'm learning LinkedIn, right? I'm studying social media. I'm doing all the stuff that you learned 20 years ago. I'm learning now, right? And I'm enjoying it. I'm working on, I've got a new part to my website. You go in there, it's on the homepage, just scroll down, you see essays on leadership. And so about every week or two, I'll be doing an essay on leadership. You saw the one called The Time for Leadership. I just finished another one called Bring Purpose to the Pause. And it's all about what do you do with the downtime. So now I'm continuing. Plus what I'm doing, I'm dusting off some old projects. Years ago, I taught a workshop called Bringing Out the Best in People. And it's about how do you create the environment in the dental office where people really want to excel. And those team members that really look at what they do in the dental office as their career, how do you make it so their career just blossoms? How do you give them room to grow? It's called how to bring out the best in people. And the funny thing, I did this 25 years ago. I couldn't sell the damn program, Josh. I'd say to the dentist, hey, this is a great leadership program. They go, leadership? I said, yeah. They said, well, what do you mean by leadership?
Yeah.
And I go, oh, Jesus, I'm in trouble now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what I'm doing is I'm going to reissue that program.
Nice.
It's not going to be anytime soon, but I'll be. So that's what I'm doing, Josh. I'm doing what I always do, but I'm just doing it, sitting here talking to people like you.
No, I love that. That was kind of in the back of my head. I'm wondering if the kind of leadership IQ of for lack of a better word, like in the profession, like goes up because of this. And because I've always felt like there's always been a big need for leadership in dentistry, but I don't feel like it's like valued, or nobody's going to pay for a course on it or go hear a speaker on leadership.
Right. That's right.
So this may shift it a little bit.
I hope so. So. It'd be fun. It would be absolutely fun. Nothing would make me happier than to create a sense of, okay, we need to think about this and emerge stronger from the crisis than when we entered it. That's the goal. Yeah. That's the big goal right there.
I agree. Well, look, knowing Lisa, I'm sure she's got your diet on lockdown the last couple of weeks and has probably enjoyed the time. It just, she cooks amazing. So, I bet there's no complaints there, but you probably haven't been sneaking as much either, huh?
No, Lisa, sweet Lisa, that's my wife. She's a certified nutritionist and a natural gourmet chef. Yeah. And we've been eating, well, this, Josh, grain-free, dairy-free, soy-free, all organic. And I eat better than probably anybody every meal. I cook my own breakfast, but she does lunch and dinners, and she went out to Whole Foods, did hand-to-hand combat with Whole Foods. We got a big freezer. We're locked down. We don't have to leave the house for the next 2 weeks. I eat mahi, Chilean sea bass, organic strip steaks, organic chicken. The eggs are organic, almond milk. I'm 70 years old, and I've got a lot of energy. And that's another thing. Somebody asked me what they can do with their downtime. Here's something you can do: learn to cook. Yeah, learn to cook. All these restaurants. Well, we got takeout service. Well, the food is still shit in takeout service. It's not any better. It's just you eat it at home, right? Yeah. You eat it at home. Learn to cook. Learn to cook. Go to Whole Foods or go to a natural market, or even Walmart sells a lot of organic stuff. And learn to cook. Learn to balance glycemic index. Now's a good time to lose weight. Yeah. Right? So work on your physical stuff. So, and we've done that all along, Josh, and so have you. Yeah. And that's nothing new for us. So I just feel good that when they say people who are most susceptible to COVID-19 are elderly with pre-existing conditions. I hear that word elderly. I think, are they talking to me? No, that's the other guy. That's the other guy. It's not me. So anyway. Yeah. No, I agree with you. We've eaten better. I mean, we probably eat out once a week, but I cook a lot at home, and honestly, we weren't running to the grocery store to stock up on all the canned goods and frozen goods. It was, we go get our fresh produce every week and cook, holistically. And there is part of stress eating during this time. And I can see people putting on weight and baking a lot and all that. But you're right. It's also a good time to get some of that under control. I feel better the past month, just not traveling and some of that irregularity of eating and all that. Yeah, I feel great right now. So, that's cool. I think travel is a pre-existing condition, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I really do. Good way to say it. All right, man. Well, look, I could sit here. We could talk forever for sure. But thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Hey, can I make a pitch? Can I make a pitch right now?
Yeah, go for it.
Here's my pitch. If you're sheltered in place and you're looking for a resource to lead, here's what you do. Pick up your cell phone right now and text the word leadership. Text leadership to the address 55777. 55777. And what you're going to get is you're going to get free video lessons from me on the leadership relative to treatment acceptance. Okay. So text expert to 55777. And if you like the kind of where I'm coming from and you like my attitude, and it's my gift to you guys, just do it. And it'll give you something to do in the downtime. And if you decide to take further steps, well, then that's your choice too. But it's my contribution, Josh, to people who look at this pause time as hard time. Don't look at it as hard time. Look at it as growth time.
Yeah. No, I love that. So text leadership to 55777.
Text leadership to 55777. Absolutely.
Cool. Yeah, I was going to ask you how you wanted people to get in touch with you if they were interested. They can also check out your website, paulhomoly.com.
That's right. That's right. But if you do the 55777 thing, that will ultimately bring you into the website, or you can go to the website, my name, paulhomoly.com. There I've got essays on leadership and a bunch of other stuff. Yeah. And, you don't need to buy anything from me. Just go there and look at it. And my role here is to contribute, as yours is, Josh. So thanks for this opportunity. And I love your stuff. You know that.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, man, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time and speaking to our audience. Tell Lisa I said hi. Joanna in the comments said hi to Lisa as well. So pass along our love and care, and stay safe. If you need anything, please let me know. We're here. So.
Okay, Josh. Thanks. Everybody stay safe. Bye.